So there's no chance it was left unlocked by accident.
That does make things a little fun.
A full and thorough explanation, Mr.
Yes.
Jamie Cross.
Of course, what's great is it gives such an accurate explanation of how these safes and these lockers couldn't possibly, break. Nothing could possibly go wrong with them.
Yeah.
And then that's what everyone yet assumes later on. Oh, and here you go. He knows some of the numbers.
Here do we start to fill in the pieces of the puzzle.
Really, what kind of friend knows your other friend's ID numbers? That's just a little bit creepy.
Well, yeah, creepy or no, it's good to have this scene where before we've even seen them in the same room together, we get a feeling for the relationship between Edgeworth and Gumshoe.
That is true.
How's Edgeworth coping?
Not well. Most of the questions seem to be relating back to the SL9 incident.
Gumshoe looks like he's very keen to get away, doesn't he?
It's good. It's bad in that he's nearly exiting the edge of the shot in that bit, but it's good in that it shows that he's really not keen to be talking about this.
He doesn't want to because of what's happened to Bruce Goodman as well.
Exactly.
Not bad, but nothing too unusual though. There are large traces of blood next to this locker that have been wiped away, but that's what you...
Of course we can't see them because we don't have the glasses on.
Exactly. They're invisible, don't you know? Also, those fragments of the jar that are lying on the ground, those are pieces of flower pot.
It's not the actual jar, because
Yes.
that would have really caused us some problems if
Oh
we'd
yeah,
broken the jar.
Well, we were planning to film all the bits that we'd need the full-size jar for and then break it, but we just thought we just couldn't bring ourselves to do it. Because it's like, oh, what if we've missed something out and then we need to go back and we've not got the jar anymore?
Phoenix Wright looks dead cool with sunglasses.
Now you're lying.
There's no reason for there to be one here.
One of the fingerprints looks quite whole. Do you reckon we can get a clear print?
Well, let's hope so. This could be our last chance to find a lead.
It always works, doesn't it?
Now we need to identify it.
How do we do that?
I'll take it over to the forensic department.
Because of course the forensics department at police station has nothing more important to do than analyse a single fingerprint given by somebody they don't even know who's suddenly just turned up. They're clearly not a busy group of people.
No.
Considering that this is whatever place Phoenix Wright lives in, where there's like murders and stuff every day.
I believe it's supposed to be Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that far from just having it set in Japan but not making any specific reference to it, I think the Phoenix Wright translation of Gyakuten Saiban is actually supposed to be set in Los Angeles.
Shows how much more you know about it than I do, doesn't it?
I just learned that in passing once. I may even be wrong.
A tag with SL9 written on
Where are you
it.
going?
To see someone who can tell me more.
To liaise with the opposition, don't you mean?
Oh yes. Well, Edgeworth's surprisingly helpful to Phoenix Wright because he is the opposition.
Yeah, but again, harder to appreciate because we didn't do any of the preceding cases.
Yes.
But by this point, they have developed a much more level ground, and they're less of cutthroat rivals.
I believe in the game Edgeworth's office is meant to be on the 6th floor or something, isn't it?
12th.
12th floor. It could be the 12th floor?
Yeah, it could be the 12th floor as long as it's as long as we're looking at the 12th floor of that building opposite.
Like me, you've noticed all the connection to SL9 this current case has.
And as that allegedly nighttime previous scene that we filmed in Edgeworth's office was actually filmed in the daytime, you've probably guessed that this is the same day as that.
It's just one coincidence too many, isn't it?
There's something else, Edgeworth. I saw the list of who entered the evidence room on the day of the murder. Your ID number was on it. You entered the evidence...
He's very suspicious, Edgeworth. In every case he's very suspicious.
Yeah.
Now in this one as well.
I would just like to say that Phoenix Wright is being remarkably patient given how scathing Edgeworth is at the moment.
What evidence was that?
Just this.
A screwdriver?
You can relax. It's nothing to do with this case or even SL9.
The unrelated piece of evidence which Phoenix Wright still pockets like a mad kleptomaniac.
Yes. No, Edgeworth holds on to it.
Oh yeah.
No, Edgeworth brings it out later on.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe Phoenix Wright's
Really,
not
Sean,
as-
haven't you even watched this film?
I just want you to tell me anything you can about the SL9 incident.
Ah, yes.
How comfy are my sofas, by the way? I want to say this, my sofas are incredibly comfy.
You do have comfy sofas, and they were used to great effect for this more casual section of Edgeworth's office.
Because I wasn't involved in the case from the start. It was only when the prosecutor in charge became a victim that I was involved.
You're joking.
Now that took several takes to get right.
Yeah.
Some of these lines, there's just so much information that needs to get through
Yeah.
over such a long period of time. And we're not professionals by any means, so
Oh no,
trying
not
to
by
get
any
them right.
stretch of the imagination.
Falsified evidence had been used. No one knew where they came from. But everyone involved with the case was suddenly under heavy scrutiny. If truth be told, I did use slightly more extreme methods than usually in handling that case.
But you didn't.
Of course not. I didn't touch the evidence.
But you accused of it. Poor Edgeworth. It's good that we get a bit more explanation in certain scenes. I mean, for all the action that's going on, we do need some scenes where people just sit down and chat about some background about
Oh, yes.
SL9 or...
You can't make a 2-hour film without a hell of a lot of exposition.
Yes. To be honest, we had no idea it was going to be over 2 hours long.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was my fault.
Well, I'm not complaining. I don't think anyone would complain.
Well, some people might, but
The guy who fell asleep during the preview probably did. Although he did tell me afterwards he allegedly was working a night shift the day before, so...
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, I remember you saying that before.
That thing.
Yeah. Now, the manufacturer of the trophy was we had 2 attempts at this really, because we remember we tried a cardboard version first.
Yes, and that didn't seem to work too well. It
Yeah.
kept falling off, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a cardboard version with tinfoil wrapped around it. And then in the end we thought we tried making one out of wood and spraying it silver, and I think that was marginally more convincing.
Well, we can't really be expected to just manufacture an entire trophy out of metal and stuff like that. I mean, well,
Yes.
our funds are limited.
Yes. I think it's worth saying before this scene ends that Michael Page did an enormous amount of fooling about on this day.
Yeah, well, we all did really, didn't we?
I suppose so, but in fact, to be honest, I think fooling about was probably our biggest time extension.
Probably why it took us about a year and a half to make the thing.
Yeah, a year. It was a year.
Well, fair enough. We were writing it for the half year beforehand,
Ah,
and
true.
organising
Okay,
it.
fine. A year's filming time, anyway. And
I think that's just because of who we are. We always all fool around.
yeah.
So we're for the great second day in court.
Yep.
Say day. It probably took us like at least 3 or 4 days worth of filming to actually get all the stuff.
Well, yeah. But here's the point where Phoenix and Emma meet and discuss the off-screen progress that they've made overnight.
We kind of needed to.
So what does that mean?
Right now, I'm not sure. Oh, and I got to work on those broken fragments. It seemed like they used to be a jar of some kind.
A jar that is actually still full.
Hmm.
Still completely whole and not broken.
And who was it? Meaningful bite of lip.
Yes, it's somebody that they don't think should be...
It might have been there by
There you go,
accident.
it's there by accident. That was
Yes.
exactly what I was about to say. Thank you.
Well, he's not a murderer.
We have to play the cards we're dealt. That's all we can do.
And of course, at this point, everyone's wondering who could it possibly be, and everyone who's played the game says, "I know who it is."
Yes.
The defence is ready, Your Honour.
Now, mindful as I am that this was your witness scene, as I say this, I think this was probably our weakest courtroom scene.
I will be honest, I do agree with you. I'm a terrible actor. No, that's clearly not. That's clearly not what you meant.
I think that's largely down to the fact that this was we filmed more or less 2 courtroom segments a day, and this was the second half of our first day, so we were all very tired, and putting gusto into our lines was getting very difficult.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Well said, Phoenix.
Yes, fasten them indeed, for Mr. Mike Meekins has arrived wearing his policeman's hat.
At ease, witness.
I'll try, sir.
Good. Now, Meekins, I'd like you to please give us your report of the crime.
Very well, sir.
I was disappointed we couldn't give the more entertaining version that he did. You know when he was asked, "Oh, explain what happened." He was like, "Oh, I woke up this morning and I brushed my teeth and I got into the car."
Oh
and
yeah.
That nonsense, and Edgeworth got really irritated at him.
Ah yeah. No.
It kind of took away, we're not including that, took a bit away from his comic relief character. Although, in the scene that's coming up very shortly, it just returns with a bang.
Yeah. No, that might have spoiled the pacing a little bit, but it's a shame we couldn't have it.
Anyone who's watched the outtake video knows how difficult Michael found this particular scene.
Indeed.
That short scene took ages, just simply because he kept laughing.
I'm just glad we had a VHS lying around that we could use.
Oh, VHS player as well.
And VHS player, indeed.
Not exactly common these days.
No, but, well, that is a VHS DVD combo.
Ah, I suppose.
Anyway, we're not here for tech support, so let's...
Oh no, not at all. I must say, I do like the way that all the overlays and the camera work makes it seem like it's a security camera.
Yes. That's Jamie Cross, by the way, acting as the security camera, and that's actually me acting as Jake Marshall.
There was a lot of, oh, we don't need to see your face, so it's okay.
Yes.
This scene did take a while because there's a lot you need to get right.
Yeah, the timing had to be done to perfection. Although Sean was very sportingly thrown there.
It didn't hurt that much. I'm pretty sure it's revenge for an earlier film of a different type where I threw you.
Ah, yes. But the audience won't understand that, so let's...
Oh, what, Mr. Wright?
Best line in the film.
Would like to know, what the hell is that thing?
This exchange between the judge and Meekins and Edgeworth.
Yeah, I think that line is probably the most quoted.
The what? At least from the reception of that specific line and people chatting at the end of the premiere, everyone seemed to love that specific one.
He didn't want it there where so many people were milling around.
I wonder why.
Yeah. I know we kind of needed an interjection from Phoenix there, but he didn't sound sarcastic enough, I feel.
No. Well, I'll be honest, I think deep down Phoenix Wright likes the Blue Badger.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of it.
I think he relates to it on some level, perhaps.
In any case, does the defense wish to examine this tape
Mocked and shunned.
The defense does.
Thankfully, something to do.
Yeah, Phoenix didn't have a lot to do with the fray. It was all Edgeworth. At the
To be
front of the
honest,
scene.
this section of the courtroom, Phoenix, is superfluous to a large extent. Apart from a couple of points he wins. Make it sound like courtroom tennis there.
Yes. Half expected you to chuck the remote at me. You point and object with such vigour that I was kind of worried about that.
Fair enough. Although the problem here is that whatever vigour there was to the actual objection, the speech that followed, like as I said before, largely due to the time of day and the fact that it was our first attempt, just didn't have enough oomph to it. Certainly on my part, anyway.
I think most people probably would have noticed at this point that it's much easier for Michael just to read straight from the script for the explanation and pretend it's a report he has.
Much easier to give your lines feeling when you don't have to worry about actually remembering them.
It is just a ridiculous long explanation.
Yeah, my fault.
Well, it's needed.
Your Honour, this isn't really my field, but my colleague here is more technically minded.
Oh, and this guy
yes.
gets to do something as opposed to just sit in the background.
Yeah, I think this is a good point to mention that Danny was a trooper with regard to the amount of time she just had to be in the shot and not actually do anything. I'm ever thankful that she didn't just give up and go home.
Take a look at the moment after the locker is open.
I know I would have. But here's her back pay because this scene coming up is Emma's big moment. in
Yes,
this.
very much so. Again, it's just suddenly there. Everything he needs is here.
Made of rubber, but more importantly, it has a tag on it marked
This part makes me cringe every time I hear it.
I know.
Whoever was on the camera that day did not loosen it up properly, and we did not pick it up until we all gone.
Yeah.
On the day of the crime,
Apologies for that.
Well, that's why I prefer working with freehand cams these days. Okay, tripods are incredibly useful,
Yeah.
and it gives you a much smoother panning and everything, but I just like using freehands.
To be honest, we should get a boom mic, just cut out the middleman.